Okay, you guys, so this is day 2 in our new module of Zoom In. And so we're going to take a look at some academic vocabulary to help us with this idea of focusing and beginning to look at things in a different way. So we're going to take a look at this word. This is the word familiar. Can you say that? Say it out loud. Familiar. Try again. Familiar. That's right. When something looks familiar, it means that you have seen it before. The people in the cafeteria are familiar to us because we see them every day. Or maybe the people in your school are familiar because you see them every day. Familiar is an adjective. And other things in your family you might be familiar with them too. So here's another academic vocabulary word. This is the word free. Can you say that with me? Free. Free. When something is free, it can do whatever it wants to do. So that means you and I are not free, really, because we have to obey and follow rules. But when you're free, you really don't have to, you can do what you want to do. And that just really means that anybody, you can be free for a period of time and make up your decisions about that. But so this word is the word free, and it means when something is free, it can do whatever it wants to do. The ducks are free to swim in the pond. So that's something they want to do. They're free to swim in the pond. Free. Whoops, here we go. The last word I want you to look at is witness. Say the word witness. Very good. Witness is a noun. That means it's a person. We talk about a noun as a person, place, or thing, and this is a person. When a witness is a person who sees something and can tell about it. So they've seen something and they want to retell what happened. That person is a witness. My mom was a witness to the dog taking food off the counter. Witness. So those are just 3 words that I wanted you to take a look at and get familiar with as we read. We're going to take another look at our story, Last Stop on Market Street. But before we do, I want to remind you of a couple things. So I have a chart here that we're going to look at. We're going to look at how to retell a story. Now, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, so we'll go through it really quick. When you are reading a story, we want you to be able to, when you're done, be able to retell the story. And remember, using your hand, you can remember that there are 5 elements to that. To retell a story, you need to know who the characters are. The characters, the setting. Remember, the characters are the people or the animals or the creatures. And the setting is where it takes place and when it takes place. And then the main events happen at the beginning, in the middle, and the end. So those are the 5 elements of retelling a story. So let's go over it again. You need to know who the characters are. You need to know what the setting is, when and where it took place. And then the main events. And we tell the main events in 3 ways. The beginning, middle, end. Beginning, middle, end. That's our story, how to do it. So we're going to read this story again, and I want you to listen carefully so that you can retell it and include these characters. So we're just going to go real quick. I'm going to ask you some questions as we go along. And it is Last Stop on Market Street by Matt De La Pena, and the pictures or illustrator is Christian Robinson. And this time, I'm going to let the audio read for us today.
CJ pushed through the church doors, skipped down the steps. The outside air smelled like freedom, but it also smelled like rain, which freckled CJ's shirt and dripped down his nose.
Boys and girls, what do you think the outside air smelled like freedom means in the book? What do you think that means? It means CJ's happy to get outside, and being outside makes him feel free.
He ducked under his Nana's umbrella, saying, "How come we gotta wait for the bus in all this wet?" "Trees get thirsty too," his Nana told him. "Don't you see that big one drinking through a straw?" CJ looked for a long time, but never saw a straw.
Do you see the straw? What is it, and how can you tell? Does anybody see the straw? I think it's this trunk The trunk is this straw. It is long and skinny, and the tree uses it to get water, so it's kind of like a straw. That's a neat way of thinking about a tree trunk, isn't it?
From the bus stop, he watched water pool on flower petals, watched rain patter against the windshield of a nearby car. His friend Colby climbed in, gave CJ a wave, and drove off with his dad. Nana, how come we don't got a car? Boy, what do we need a car for? We got a bus that breathes fire and old Mr. Dennis who always has a trick for you. The bus creaked to a stop in front of them. It sighed and sagged and the doors swung open.
What words does the author use to describe the bus? The text says it sighed and sagged and the doors swung open. That's interesting. How does that make the bus sound? Does it make it sound like it's brand new and shiny? Or old, maybe and slow? That's what I think it means.
What's that I see? Mr. Dennis asked. He pulled a coin from behind CJ's ear, placed it in his palm. Nana laughed her deep laugh and pushed CJ along. They sat right up front. The man across the way was tuning a guitar. An old woman with curlers had butterflies in a jar.
Aww.
Nana gave everyone a great big smile and a good afternoon. She made sure CJ did the same. The bus lurched forward and stopped, lurched forward and stopped. Nana hummed as she knit. How come we always gotta go here after church? CJ said. Miguel and Colby never have to go nowhere. I feel sorry for those boys, she told him. They'll never get a chance to meet Bobo or the Sunglass Man. And I hear Trixie got herself a brand new hat. CJ stared out the window, feeling sorry for himself. He watched cars zip by on either side, watched a group of boys hop curbs on bikes.
All right, boys and girls, I want you to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down to this question. Does CJ want to go to the place that they are going, wherever they're going? Does he want to go? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. What do you think? I think it's a thumbs down. And so how do you know? How do you know he doesn't want to go? Because in the text, CJ says that, or the author says that CJ was feeling sorry for himself because he didn't want to go. CJ stared out the window, feeling sorry for himself.
A man climbed aboard with a spotted dog. CJ gave up his seat. How come that man can't see? Boy, what do you know about seeing? Nana told him. Some people watch the world with their ears. That's a fact. Their noses too, the man said, sniffing at the air. That's a mighty fine perfume you're wearing today, ma'am. Nana squeezed the man's hand and laughed her deep laugh. Two older boys got on next. CJ watched as they moved on by and stood in back. Sure wish I had one of those, he said. Nana set down her knitting. What for? You've got the real-life thing sitting across from you. Why don't you ask the man if he'll play us a song? CJ didn't have to. The guitar player was already plucking strings and beginning to sing. To feel the magic of music, the blind man whispered, I like to close my eyes. Nana closed hers too. So did CJ and the spotted dog.
So what does Nana say to CJ when CJ wishes that the boys for the boys' music player? What does Nana say? Nana says that she tells him that it's better to have real live music from the guitar player than a machine that plays the music, right?
And in the darkness, the rhythm lifted CJ out of the bus, out of the busy city. He saw sunset colors swirling over crashing waves, saw a family of hawks slicing through the sky, saw the old woman's butterflies dancing free in the light of the moon. CJ's chest grew full and he was lost in the sound, and the sound gave him the feeling of magic. The song ended and CJ opened his eyes. Everyone on the bus clapped, even the boys in back. Nana glanced at the coin in CJ's palm. CJ dropped it in the man's hat. "Last stop on Market Street," Mr. Dennis called. CJ looked around as he stepped off the bus. Crumbling sidewalks and broken down doors, graffiti-tagged windows and boarded up stores. He reached for his Nana's hand. "How come it's always so dirty over here?" She smiled and pointed to the sky. "Sometimes when you're surrounded by dirt, CJ, you're a better witness for what's beautiful." CJ saw the perfect rainbow arcing over their soup kitchen. He wondered how his Nana always found beautiful where he never even thought to look. He looked all around them again, at the bus rounding the corner out of sight, and the broken street lamps still lit up bright, and the stray cat shadows moving across the wall.
Boys and girls, what do you think CJ is learning from his Nana? I think he's learning to notice things in a different way and to look at things in a different way, in a way that he never thought to look for things.
When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, he said, "I'm glad we came." He thought his Nana might laugh her deep laugh, but she didn't. She patted him on the head and told him, "Me too, CJ. Now come on."
That's it. So now I want you to think about what we've been learning about our main characters. Get our chart. Who were the characters in our story? The characters were the little boy, Nana. Remember, they get on the bus and they meet the bus driver. And then some people they interacted with on the bus was a blind man and a guitar player. And then they interacted with some people there at the end that were at the soup kitchen they were helping to feed. So there's are the characters. So where did it take place? What's the setting? When and where? It was sometime during the day. It was after church, so probably a Sunday, remember? And it took place during the day in some city, and it took place on a bus too. That's the setting. Then the main events were at the beginning. Nana and this little boy and his Nana got on a bus to go somewhere, and they began to look at things differently. The tree, the rain, and the straw. There were just some other things that they began to look at differently as they were going along. The blind man, the music, the guitar player on the bus. And so those things happened in the middle on their way there. They interacted with those people on the bus. And then at the end, they ended up helping people at the soup kitchen feed them to get them food. And I think CJ is beginning to see things a little bit differently. Like at first he felt bad because he didn't want to be there. And his Nana helped him to look at things differently and enjoy his time there. So there's a lot to learn there. So I hope you enjoyed that story. We'll check in tomorrow.